What is going on, coaches? Thomas here from MyCoach AI, and a quick video today on the difference between the global settings and the client profile, which is also a type of settings, right? But we have two essentially settings pages in our system, and we do that for a really good reason. Makes it super efficient, but it may be a little bit different than you have seen in other coding systems. So I want to quickly show you why we do so and how you can best leverage that. So once again, we have two global settings and we have client profile, or client settings, if you prefer that. Now, as the name suggests, we have the global settings, which we find in kind of the global part of the system. That is the settings page right here that we'll get to in a second. And number two is the client profile, so the client settings that you will find under any client when you go click on their profile. And right here, that is the immediate first place that it sends you, and we'll get to these in a second too. But let's start off with the global settings. So once again, in our storage drive area under settings, the global settings contain two very important pieces. Number one, as the name suggests, the global settings contain anything that's relevant for you as a coach, for your configurations for the system, how you see the system, things like your subscription and your, payment integrations, your dashboard, the way that you experience the whole system, even things like your, going back here, even things like your custom branding for the system, affiliate program that you can sign up for, all of these different things. So that affect you as a coach. And then it contains one more very important thing, which is the default client settings. Now, this affects the way that your clients see your system, right? So it contains settings like, how do clients see nutrition? What can they see in terms of macros? What can they do in terms of having control? Same with the workouts. What are they able to swap out? With their interface, how far out on their program can they see? And can they rearrange their schedule in a way that they want to? Or is it set in the way that you prefer it? All of these different things you have a ton of control over, and you can set all of these configurations right here. And once again, this is the only part of the global settings that affects your clients. But the reason that we set this up first in the global settings is because what we're doing here is setting the standard for how new clients coming in will see these elements, right? How their configurations will be. So we have all of these control settings, and this is kind of the basic boilerplate that will be applied to a new client that you onboard in the way that you have set this up. And that brings us to the client profile, because what you will notice as you will look at these parts right here is that if we go to a client profile, that we essentially have the exact same setting. Just the word default is missing, right? But we have client nutrition instead of default client nutrition. We have client workouts instead of default client workouts, and so forth. But these settings are the exact same. So these will be configured in the way that you have it set up in your global settings, the default client settings. And then you can just go to these individual profiles to individualize and customize per person. So maybe your standard is that your clients can see 1 month out on their whole program. But we have just onboarded Christina. She's a little bit more of a beginner. We don't want her to worry about what's up 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. So we set her visible upcoming days out to 1 week, different than the template. Now, of course, making that change here will not affect how the default global settings are set up, right? So still the next client that you onboard will have those configurations. And that's why this is so useful. You can set a standard for not only how you should see things in the system, but also how your clients experience your coaching. Set that standard, onboard people in that manner, and then individualize and customize wherever is needed. So it's a super effective way to do all of this. You set up your global settings first, then you individualize for the client profile. Of course, all of your stuff that only affects you as a coach happens in the global settings. And that is why in MyCoach AI, we use two types of settings: global, client profile. And now you know why.